On this week's GTA 5 o'clock, crew limits raised. Sign up now and join us online. 2K investor call hints at something before March 31st. Get a complete buyer's guide to cars in GTA Online, plus GTA 5 in Minecraft and how a changing LA could affect the game. It's all here on this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of GTA 5 o'clock. I am your host James Jarvis and I'm joined as ever by co-host Dan Dawkins.
Hello there.
He is back. He is well again, well enough to be in the office at least, and he's raring to go.
Yeah, I've got glands like giant footballs, but I am well enough to speak.
Okay, coming up this week we've got some more info about the possibility of GTA on next gen and PC. We've got some great knit work which Dan has found, and GTA 5 Minecraft edition, we're going to call it. It's not really a Minecraft edition, but you'll see when we get onto that a bit later on. Just up top, a quick congratulations, not to us this time, but to Leslie Benzies, Dan Hauser and Sam Hauser, who have been inducted into the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences as the 18th, 19th and 20th members in its Hall of Fame. So that's nice for them. Obviously they were the pioneers in making the open world games, and now they've been recognised for that. So moving on then to the big news this week. We hinted at it last week, almost like we're some kind of mystic Meg. The Rockstar crew limits have been upped to 1,000 now, Dan.
Yeah, this is really good news, and it's not just applying to us, it's for everyone who's got a crew. The cap of 300 gang members has now been uplifted to 1,000. So Rockstar are advising people to get busy in terms of recruitment, using your pages by promoting more people within your hierarchies to help deal with new recruits. Yeah. We've got 3 crews running currently. So we've between us we'd had like a capacity of 900. Now that has been rocketed up to 3,000 across the 3 crews. Yeah. So if you can find us on the social club, and that's either the OCLK, the OCLG or the OCLS crews, which is Shadows and Gravels, we can boost up at least another 700 people per crew. Yeah. Which, I mean, we could probably fill just with a backlog of people waiting.
Yeah, I've started going through our backlog already in the Shadows, at least this morning. So if you have got requests pending, then keep an eye out for some updates coming your way. Hopefully we'll be able to plough through all of the pending requests we've got and up our crew limits to 1,000 each.
Yes, exciting. And Rockstar are obviously using this, I think, to promote the newly released crew head-to-head playlist challenge feature, where you can set 2 crews against each other, and it's only in game modes with where you're allowed 2 teams. Yeah. But you can do it, and you can play for high stakes, as in the minimum wager is $1,000. So we'll probably be getting involved with more of that kind of stuff on the live stream quite soon. Yeah,
keep a lookout for that, and do go and join our crews if you want to join us on the live stream. So moving on to some more big news. Take-Two had its financial conference call the other day. Dan has been through it using some Lester-esque surveillance techniques. Dan, the thing everyone wants to know, did they talk about PC and next-gen versions?
No, but...
Okay.
You may have heard about this. Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two Interactive, they're a publicly listed company. They're obliged to report to their shareholders. They hold a public shareholder call with various investors from different firms, get in and ask them questions. They talk about what they've earned, what the share projections are, top line, what the company's going to be doing over the forthcoming months, what their plans are. Now, these things are publicly available. You can go on the Take-Two website and actually record the MP3 of it, or get hold of it. So they're obviously not going to accidentally announce something that would set the internet ablaze.
No, they're pretty smart. They're used to doing these kind of things.
Yeah, during an investor call. And I think particularly in the modern world, there might have been a time where they thought there was no spotlight on these things, but now they are seen as landmarks, and somehow we all expect announcements to be made there. An interesting thread throughout all of the conversations is that they really explicitly demark Rockstar's activities and marketing from what they're here to report. I think they essentially keep saying, we leave all the marketing and that to Rockstar. We are not here to make these announcements today. So that's a consistent thread throughout the call. Now, the call, the celebrities on the call are people like Strauss Zelnick, who's the chairman and CEO of Take-Two Interactive, and then lots of like various different investor relations and finance folk. Now, you've probably seen some of the big headlines that are filtered out onto a lot of the main websites. The most significant are the fact that, yes, GTA 5 has done really well. Like, as we already knew, the game sold $800 million worth in 24 hours, which was confirmed by Take-Two. Over $1 billion in 3 days, which has been confirmed by Take-Two. And this is quite new. They confirmed the game has sold 32.5 million units worldwide.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, it's absolutely staggering. And again, I think I haven't got it on screen, but contextually I'd like to place that in line of other games, but it seems like this is on line to become the biggest selling game.
Yeah, I think it's in the top 3 now of biggest selling games of all time. I think there is a Call of Duty above it for now, but if they keep going at this rate, they'll be up there pretty soon.
Now, what was interesting, and again this made it out to the sites, is that it says approximately 70% of consumers who've played GTA 5 while connected to the internet have played GTA Online since its launch on October the 1st. It says, as a result, GTA Online was the single largest contributor to our digitally delivered revenue in the third quarter. Now, for all the problems they've had with online and with microtransactions and freezing it and restarting it, the money accrued from people buying microtransaction packs is still the biggest contributor to all of Take-Two's digital revenues. So this is what we said going back 8 months, a year ago. We said this is a significant long-term investment for them. This is why they are doing GTA Online, because they know this money will come in, and I imagine when it's properly working. And now throughout the entire conversation, a lot of the people on the call, the investors were asking, can you say exactly how many of the 70% who've played GTA Online have actually bought things?
Yeah.
What are your targets? What are your expectations? And again, throughout the call, Take-Two were very standoffish, and largely talking about wanting to promote quality rather than finance, and that not being their primary driver. So, and also another big part of it was people asking about, well, obviously, will there be a PC version? Will there be a next-gen version? How are you going to deal with the growth of mobile phones? There's some interesting answers in there. One is, it said, Take-Two said, our ability to bring our popular catalogue titles to mobile platforms enables us to grow our audience and generate incremental revenue and profits with modest development cost and virtually no marketing spend. Now, they obviously, as has been talked about, they obviously see mobile phone ports as a cheap and easy way to make money.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to compromise quality, and this is actually a thread that continues throughout it, where they say, Take-Two repeat to say, we do not discriminate between platforms. We want our games to be on as many platforms as possible, but what we do discriminate between is sort of like processor power and screen size, where we don't want to produce compromised experiences.
Well, I guess we've seen that with the release of San Andreas recently on mobiles and stuff. Like, they've only just got to that stage. Mobiles are powerful enough now to sort of handle those kind of processors and graphics that we used to play on our giant TVs at home. So I guess as mobile phones get more and more powerful, we'll see more and more Rockstar games on those devices.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was also interesting, and this may or may not relate to GTA titles, is Take-Two said, looking ahead, we have a robust pipeline for both new intellectual properties and offerings from our proven franchises in development, including more than 10 unique titles for the next generation consoles.
10?
So yeah, 10 Take-Two next-gen games in development.
Right now?
Yeah. So whether they're a mixture of stuff from existing franchises or not, but that's a lot of games. And I think that may be separate from Evolve that they've already announced, which is the sort of Left 4 Dead style Aliens game. Now, again, this is talking about creator missions. Take-Two confirmed, they talked about the success of the creator function in GTA Online. It says the player community has already created and published over 2 million death matches and races.
You've done one of them, Dan.
Yeah, and of which I contributed 2 or 3 myself. It says consumers can look forward to more content from Grand Theft Auto Online in future. Now, it's worth, they added this on the single player DLC. In addition to supporting Grand Theft Auto Online, Rockstar Games plans to release substantial story-driven downloadable add-on content for Grand Theft Auto 5. Rockstar will have more to say on this in the coming months. Now, substantial is a word I've heard repeatedly, and in every conversation I've had with Rockstar myself, they use the word substantial as almost like a company mantra. So suffice to say, it looks like it's in the ballpark of a Ballad of Gay Tony.
Yeah, it's not going to be just here's an extra few cars. It will be proper story-driven DLC.
Now, this is interesting. It doesn't sound interesting at first, but you'll have to wait for me to explain it. And now, what Take-Two did say is they announced their results for the third quarter, which is Q3 of their fiscal year 2014. So I think this is from the period of like September to December, effectively. Now, they confirmed that their net revenue increased 90% on the previous period, or the previous years, to $767 million. So, and they projected an outlook of 650 to 700 million. And they said it's primarily due to the continued success of Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, these figures don't mean much without the context, but you have to think, first of all, this in itself is a 90% uplift on what might be considered regular operating. Right, so let's say regular operating is like 50 to 100 million or something, right? Now, what is interesting is later on, they talk about their fiscal projections for the current or upcoming quarter, which is Q4 2014, which is from Jan to March 31st 2014, which for as many people have speculated, including myself, that this could be one of the release windows for either single player DLC or GTA 5 on PC.
Yeah.
Their predicted revenues for this period are 170 million to 200 million, right? So that is about a third to a quarter of what they made in that incredible GTA 5 release window. But it certainly isn't like 90% down on whatever the regular period is. So it does seem like they're expecting something to do quite good business for them in this next period. Now, it's worth noting, they said this explicitly, the majority of our revenue in the fourth quarter is expected to come from NBA 2K14, Grand Theft Auto 5, GTA Online, Borderlands 2, and WWE 2K14. Now, all of those games are out in some capacity. Hardly any of them, apart from Borderlands, which is actually a very old game now, are anywhere near the scale of GTA. So the significant bulk of those revenues aren't coming from NBA, they're not coming from WWE 2K14. It's probably coming from something linked to GTA 5.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Whether, and you could probably look at the market history figures for this, whether GTA 5 on PC would be a contribution of about, let's say, $100 million, or whether it's coming from single player DLC, I don't know. And it's interesting that later on in the call, an investor deliberately picks them up on this and asks, like, have you said where those revenues are being attributed? And they explicitly say, we are not adding any colour to that right now. So it almost sounds like they're willing to give the financials, but they are not revealing exactly where that's coming from. Which again, if it's part of a marketing announcement to come from Rockstar, would make perfect sense.
Well, if it's coming before March, we're already middle of Feb almost. Well, early February. So there's only sort of a month away until something like that happens. So you'd expect an announcement of something coming pretty soon.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If it is what we think it will be, either single player DLC or GTA 5 on PC / next gen, more likely PC, that's got to happen soon. If it's in that quarter, maybe Rockstar do have another plan for where those projected revenues are coming from. It just seems particularly weird they wouldn't outline what they were if there wasn't a need to keep a secret. If that makes sense.
Do you think they can launch single player DLC with the ongoing GTA Online issues of it not quite doing all the things that they said it was going to do?
Yeah, I think if it's built and ready, they can. I think single player DLC, particularly if it's digitally led, could probably deploy incredibly quickly and easily. And I don't think you need very long in today's world to market a game. I think you could get away with even like a few weeks to a month, particularly if it's digital channels.
Yeah,
because you haven't got to prep retail, physically publish the discs, send them out in vans and trucks. It's not such a logistical operation, and they haven't got to spend quite the same amounts on in-store promotion, all the various different things that are expensive and complicated to arrange. Now, talking about Take-Two's attitude to tablets and how they would essentially, they see themselves as platform agnostic, and they would like all their like their products and IPs to be on as many platforms as possible. Strauss-Zelnick said, he says, if you believe in Moore's law, which is that, you know, processing power grows at an exponential rate, he says, and I do, then you believe that tablets will be tantamount to PCs pretty soon. And he says, and I have reason to believe that if that's where people want to consume video games, that's where we will be. So again, there's a commitment to wanting to do this. There's interesting comments from Strauss. A lot of people have said Rockstar weren't prepared, and we've talked about this on the show. Rockstar weren't prepared for the scale of GTA Online. They didn't invest significantly in their own dedicated servers. They talked around this a little bit because someone asked him a question and just said, you know, how are you going to keep this online sustainable? And it says, do you see a drop in the number of people that are online? How long can this go on? Now he says, Strauss-Zelnick says, we made it plain that we prefer to expand resources after we see revenues, not before. So they weren't going to invest heavily in a server farm until they knew it was going to be a sustainable financial thing. And then he says, we have made no bones about the fact that we have expectations for GTA Online in the fourth quarter, for example. He says, so clearly we have expectations going forward, but we are not at a point yet where we want to share the metrics. Now later on he goes on to talk about not wanting to buy or invest in dedicated, I suppose, like backbone support themselves, but would rather outsource third-party server stuff as and when they need it. But they just do not see it as part of their strategy to invest in expensive and at some stage probably redundant server capacity.
I guess because as they announce new stuff, you'll get an influx of people going onto online, and then that number will gradually tail off back to its original thing. So it'd be crazy to invest in a giant server farm that's only going to be used sort of, you know, 3-4 times a year properly.
Exactly. Like I touched on earlier, people were talking about how many people who've played GTA Online have purchased things, and Strauss-Zelnick repeats, he goes, yes, we are not talking about the percent that have monetized. And again talks about, you know, wanting to make it a qualitative experience.
70% is still a giant number to even get people who have got the game to go online. Like, that's a huge...
Yeah. 32.5 million copies sold. I don't know how many of those have got access to the internet, but again, let's say it's 50%, so you're looking at 16 million there, and if 70% of them, you're looking at like sort of 12 million who'd have tried online, which is pretty staggering, really. It's a huge amount of people. Again, you know, those figures are fast and loose, but it's just an idea. Now, Colin Sebastian, who's from one of the various investment companies, said, first off, could you provide any perspective on the efforts required to bring a franchise like GTA 5 over to other platforms? Is that more or less a traditional port? Now, given that we've looked at the bug logs, this is quite a pertinent question. Now, again, Strauss-Zelnick is very quick to sidestep this, and he goes, we are going to leave it to our labels to talk about what happens with their properties going forward. And he goes, he says, I know at times on these calls people would like me to talk much more about upcoming releases, and there's sometimes frustration that we don't. The truth is, he says, we are trying to provide as much transparency as we can to our shareholders and leave marketing decisions and the marketing announcements to our labels. So again, we're just not going to get that. Like I said about server farms, this is what they said exactly. In terms of infrastructure, look, the world is going to, and he says, you know, resources are outsourced and cloud computing, that's hardly a secret. And we have zero interest in building out massive facilities and spending a great deal of money on CapEx, or capital exchange. He says, I think the bulk of our needs will be handled by third parties. But no, we are not building call centres, data centres or server fronts. So that's like a fairly unequivocal answer for everyone who's asked us on the show previously. Now, this is fascinating. This is the Take-Two's views on multi-platform gaming laid bare. One of the investment people asks, he says, could Strauss tell me, assuming that Google, Amazon and Apple continue to press forward with their digital media initiatives, as in they're all being linked to launching their own consoles and or game machines, says, and very likely will have their own boxes soon, how does that impact the way you think about your business? And Strauss's answer is, well, that's good news, because more distribution to consumers on a multiplicity of devices is a good thing. And we have reason to believe it's going to be easier and easier to develop in a way that we can be readily available without too much porting expense across a multiplicity of platforms.
So that'll be their sort of engine techs being developed to be easily ported onto anything they want, basically.
Exactly, and again, might go back to our GTA bug log files and building out a PC version which is transplantable with like a last gen mode or whatever it is, things that allow it to scale up and down quite easily to match a platform from an easily transportable base. And it says, it basically says, I think the answer is we intend to be everywhere. So it's unequivocal.
Yeah.
So for people like wondering again in the broader context, would GTA 5 come to PC, given that Rockstar's intention is to be everywhere and the only thing hampering their decision making are technical issues like screen size or processing, what's stopping them bringing it to PC? I'm not seeing anything here. Another one of the capital investment firms says, on GTA Online, have you any thoughts on making that a mobile opportunity, just in order to keep people engaged with the franchise when they're away from their consoles or big screens? Now, again, there's lots of talking around this, but what Strauss-Zelnick says is, in terms of mobile opportunities, again, we don't really distinguish between mobile and sort of fixed consoles. We don't distinguish between tablet and PC. We don't distinguish between console and PC and tablet. He says we do distinguish between screen size, small, medium and large, because they accommodate different experiences. He says, and we have our own limitations based on platform's technical ability to serve our needs and consumer needs. What he goes on to say is that when they've made, and he says this, he says, the stuff that we have made, the bespoke stuff that we've done for lighter platforms, as in scaled down versions of games, has always enjoyed limited success. Now they're not saying failure, but they're couching it in terms of when we've scaled back the core of our product, it simply hasn't worked as well. So again, you've got to look at that in the context of their business. Right, almost getting there now. A question was asked explicitly again about the way that people are going to migrate from current gen to next gen, and that will mean they will, like, by virtue of the move away from playing current gen GTA Online. He says they're leaving the online play experience in GTA as they upgrade the console experience. Is it reasonable to expect that as people upgrade, they are not playing on prior gen machines? Now, Strauss said, look, we were selling PS2 products until very recently. Then he goes on, but he says, but I think you are right. As the new platforms gain momentum, we hope they will, software is made available for them. A lot of the consumers will turn their attention to that, and that's why we have more than 10 titles in development for these new platforms, and why they are sounding very enthusiastic and optimistic about our future. So again, it's a couched commitment to providing that service on different platforms. Now, what was interesting is someone had picked up on like a couple of unusual accrued expenses in the latest set of accounts. And it says, is that related to internal royalties? As in, is someone in Rockstar getting absurdly rich from the sale of GTA 5? Now, the actual sums aren't listed, but I'm sure you can probably guess the figures. He would be making big money out of this. And he says, I can't confirm the exact details of the account, but it was to do with certain items for compensation for our incentive compensation plan. So somebody at Rockstar has made a big enough amount of royalty payment for it to be significant in the balance of a $750 million sheet. So it's a world that I don't inhabit. I'm mildly jealous, but respect is due.
Where's our royalty payments?
In the next life, James.
Just wait, Dan. Once you get your quads tennis, once they implement that feature, you can come back.
Maybe the trickle down will make me rich. Maybe. Now, interesting thing, just an aside, they confirmed that Take-Two have 2,500 employees at the end of this quarter, of which 1,800 were in development. Okay. So I guess like 700 is ancillary, marketing, executive, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's like almost 3/4 of the staff are in development, which is obviously where you need your resource. This again was pretty fascinating. Doug Kreutz from Cohen & Company asked, you mentioned you have a lot of store-based GTA 5 content in development. Can you just say whether your March quarter guidance contemplates any of that being released in the March quarter? Thank you. As in, is any of that 170 million to 200 million to do with store-based GTA 5 content? Strauss-Zelnick's answer is to the point, and he says, yes, we have not given any colour on that. End of answer.
Right.
So he locks him down. So again, are there secrets being withheld? It's entirely possible. So that is the conference call. I know that, hey, maybe you could say there's not that much top-line stuff in there. Reading between the lines, Rockstar are making a long-term commitment to multi-platform. And I think they will probably see a point where if they could release tablet versions of their games that were as good as the main versions, that would probably happen simultaneously as the sort of, you know, the influence of a lot of that.
Yeah, and that they've got 10 games in development for next gen consoles.
Yeah,
which is big news, really.
Yeah, it's a lot of games, and you know they're not all going to come out at once. That's an interesting staggered depth of portfolio.
All right, so that's the conference call. Hope you've got some good information out of that. The next thing that we've got to cover quickly now, I've just got down knitted Trevor, Dan. Hopefully you can fill people in on this.
Well, I can't really elucidate much more than this, but if you watch on screen now, you will see a wonderful sort of Sackboy style Trevor, and someone on Instagram has created like a wonderful montage of Sack Trevor. Looking angry and sad and all these various different things. I just thought it was a fun thing to bring to your attention. You can follow the links to it through the Rockstar Newswire. Now apparently Ned Luke commented on it and got sad and said, where's my knitted Michael, and there's talk of there being a knitted Franklin in the works as well, so maybe finally we'll see the knitted community. I'm sure somebody there has missed like a dyed in the wool type joke or something better than that, so share your brilliant knitting puns below.
Amazing. Go and knit your own and send us pictures of them. Next up,
knit us. You can knit Dan and James.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, and then we can show pictures of us holding we've gone too far, haven't we? Good. Next up, some more stuff from the Newswire. This is a brilliant graphic from Spikermat, which Dan you found, which is like an online buyer's guide to the different types of cars and vehicles that people can buy in the game and all their different stats.
Yeah, somebody's just gone through and made like a really amazing infographic of like the different types of cars in the game, like supercars, sports classics, bikes, coupes, muscle cars, sedans and compacts. And what it does is it shows you in graph form like the relative speed, braking, acceleration, the handling attributes of all those cars. It's a really quick and easy way to go like, I want the fastest, best handling car there is. Bosh, it's there. So like if you wanted the fastest car, you're probably looking at, what is it, the Trafado Adder at the bottom there, which is a sweet $1 million. So that's like your best pure speed vehicle, and you can go through various things picking out the best bikes. It's just props to those guys for producing a really good infographic. Well done. Yeah,
good thing to print out and then have on your wall, so you don't have to go through all of the menus and find out how much each one costs. You got a good graph of it there. A couple more things before we go. GTA 5 in Minecraft, which is a ridiculous project that someone has taken on. They're trying to recreate the whole of GTA 5 done in Minecraft.
Well, it seems like they're more focusing on like San Andreas and, or you could say maybe GTA 5, like Grove Street in Minecraft. So a YouTuber called My Raging Monkey has made
good name,
all of Grove Street in Minecraft, which from a distance looks pretty good. Like it's got like really nice. And then there's a video he's done of the interior of CJ's house, which I will be honest, I can't really remember the interior of CJ's house, and this may or may not look like it. You can probably judge for yourself by following links to it. It's an ambitious thing, like well done. In reality, I'm not sure how much fun it will be, but like wow, kudos for doing that. You know, well done.
Yeah, it looks great. And if you find anything else like that GTA related, please send them in to us at GtaVideoclock on Twitter or on Facebook, facebook.com/GtaVoclock. One last thing before we go down. I don't know if you saw this week, but they are changing the colour of the lights in LA. Have you seen this news?
No.
Right. Well, it's interesting, sort of. So the lights in LA are that
actual LA.
Yeah, actual LA is that iconic sort of yellow street lights that they've got that we see in all the films. They used it a lot in Drive and a lot of other films. They're going to replace all of the street lights to have them as blue tinted LEDs.
Really?
Yeah. Which means that all of the look and feel of LA will basically totally change from that sort of yellow hue to quite sort of stark white roads now. So yeah, that yellowish glow will be gone, and they're doing it in a lot of other places. I think they're doing it in New York as well. I think it's a thing, probably some kind of health thing that they've discovered, that white lights are better for you than the yellow glow. But it does mean that they can't really correct it in post-production either. So it means that all of the films that will be set in LA after they make that change are going to look completely different to all of the other films that they've shot, and potentially games. Now, obviously, GTA 5 takes on the LA lighting scheme, and it is all yellow and stuff and everything. So it'll be interesting to see whether at some point they decide to change the lighting in online to reflect what's happening in real life.
That's actually like really, it feels like a culturally significant moment, because I think we've also wed to the idea and the branding of LA as this sort of like yellow street. I think from the daytime you got your images of like the orange soaked beaches of Santa Monica and the sunset, and then nighttime it's this yellow glow, sort of you can feel the heat coming off the street, this kind of feeling. And yeah, to sort of cast it into a more crystalline blue almost feels like, oh god, I'm in Detroit with RoboCop or something, you know. It's like, you know, they're rebranding the city at night almost. So it's quite a significant step, and I'm sure people can find this probably a legitimate reason to do so. Maybe the fact that they're using light bulbs that are £7 billion cheaper to run or something, you know, it could just be that. But, you know, to me that almost feels like a sad cultural watermark moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a change in history. I mean, you'll be able to properly date now that changeover of when films were made and when, you know, cultural references were made to LA, judging on what the nighttime scenes look like. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Let us know your thoughts about that in the comments below. And I think that is the end of this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Lots of good stuff in there, lots of you to mull over. If you've got any comments, please put them below. If you've got anything that you want to join us, or anything you want us to do in the live stream on Friday, like links to your playlists or some jobs that you've created, put them in the comments, send us them on Facebook and Twitter, and don't forget that on Friday hopefully Dan will be back,
unless I dropped ill again, which I'm hoping not.
It was great last week.
I heard it went really well.
Well, we won a thing, Dan.
Well, I don't know what's going on.
We won everything, in fact.
Because I wasn't there to distract you.
Well, some people were saying that. Other people, you know, were just saying that it was just because I'm brilliant. I don't know.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Thank you for that, Mama Jarvis, for your interjection.
You'll be back next Friday, so normal service should resume.
Normal great service will be resumed.
So thanks for listening. And Dan, I think we're ready to say goodbye.
Yeah, bye. Thanks for listening.